Namaste, friends. I'm Heather Wiest with Love, Serve, Inspire. And today I'll be guiding you through a fascia floss and lymph flow practice. For today's class, it'd be helpful to have 2 yoga blocks or 2 thick books would work. I'm here to guide you, but you are always your best teacher. So please listen to your body, modify anything as needed, stay safe, and have fun. We're going to begin in tabletop position, hands and knees. Once you're there, just finding your firm foundation, we're going to come into some cow and cat movement. So as you inhale, bring the head and the heart forward, the belly drops. Exhale, rounding generously through the spine, gazing back. Continuing here like this, and I'm going to invite you to come into a circular movement with your spine. So if you come to neutral table, you're going to go ahead and lift up through the spine, finding that nice circular torso movement, just opening up through the spine, through the mid-back, taking a few movements in one direction and then circling in the other direction. Let's take 3 more full breaths here, whatever feels good for your spine, your body. 1 more full breath. And then returning to neutral, we're going to tuck the toes under, coming back into downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet, anything that feels good for you here. Really finding that push of the hands down and away as the tops of the thighs draw back. We're going to inhale, ripple into a high plank pose. Drop to the knees and open up through the front of the thighs for a modified up dog. You can always stay in table and take cow pose here. Taking the knees wide, we're going to sink back on the exhale into child's pose. Let's take that flow 2 more times. So lifting yourself back up, coming into downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple into high plank pose. Dropping to the knees, finding a nice up dog. Knees wide, exhale, child's pose. 1 more round here, arising back up, downward facing dog. Big exhale. And then inhale, ripple into your high plank in your modified up dog or cow pose. The exhalation, sinking back into your child's pose. Take another couple of breaths here. Expressing gratitude to yourself for showing up and taking care of you. We'll come into tabletop position. We're going to root our forearms down into the mat. We're going to keep our hips high and take our knees a little bit wider. Now in this floss is a little bit different here. I want you to energetically feel that your forearms are reaching forward, they're scooching forward as you draw the hips back a little bit into a child's. So inhale, release, and rise. Energetically, forearms are drawing forward as you're sinking back. Find that nice stretch into the pectoral muscles, maybe the sides of the neck, into the neck and jaw area. Just getting a little release. And you can add a little option here of taking your nose or the gaze to the right bicep as you draw back. So just getting a little side stretch into the neck. You can take a couple there. And then drawing back to center, you can take the nose or the gaze to the left bicep as you energetically push forward with the forearms, yet draw back with the hips. Take a couple more here, resisting, and then releasing. And then we'll make our way on up. Find your way into table pose. And then we're going to come into our right side for a clamshell floss. So I'm going to come down onto my right side. I'm going to take my hand under my head. And I'm going to take my knees more in a 90 degree here instead of a wider stance or a longer stance. So tucking in, I'm going to keep my ankles connected and lift that left knee up And then I'm going to use my left hand to resist that leg down. We'll inhale, release. Exhale, resist it down. So you're going to feel that whole left side of the leg into the hip, into the glute, getting a nice flat fascia floss. Let's do a couple more here. Nice. Getting deep into that connective tissue. One more. And then we can just take a nice easy twist here. So you can open out the arms. You can take the gaze over to the left or just stay upright if that feels better for your body. Another deep breath. And then we'll come up onto our hands. Keep the shape of your legs. You're going to have your hands in a down dog position. Take your legs a little further down and lift up into a modified side plank. Take a nice deep inhale. Resist as you draw the hips back. And then as you inhale, finding this little hip dip twist. So you're going to go ahead and resist back. That hip dip twist. Any breath pattern that works for you here. I like to exhale on the effort, inhale on the release. Let's do one more. You're going to come on down. We'll return back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to take our right leg forward into a low lunge, as many steps as it takes. You're going to find your blocks here. We're going to take a pyramid floss. So your block can be on any height here. I'll take it on the largest height. And I'm going to straighten through my front leg, keep that foot rooted, and then as I exhale, I'm going to push that foot down and away as I bend into the back knee. I'm just going to take it straight again, and then resist back. So a soft bend, little micro bend into that right knee. Big stretch for the back of the right hamstring muscles. So finding this here, you can even take a little bounce with that back leg if it feels good for you. Find what's right. Let's take a couple more. And then we'll come back into that low lunge, releasing the left knee to the earth. You can keep your blocks or push them off to the side, both hands on the inside of the right foot. And I'm even going to take my right arm and connect it with that right thigh. So nice floss stretch here, bending into that front knee and then resisting back as I lift that foot and root the heel into the earth. Let's take a few more like that. Bending into the low lunge and then coming back into a half split. So a little inner thigh focus as you resist the arm into that inner thigh area. Feeling it wherever you feel it, whether that be hamstrings, inner thighs, outer hip, hip flexors. Let's do a couple more. Beautiful job. Last one here. Returning back to downward facing dog. We're going to transition into a calf floss. So you may have to look at the screen here or you can just listen. I'm going to bring my feet together so that my knees are touching. I'm going to bend into the left knee, so kind of a flamingo leg. And then I'm going to come up onto the ball of the right foot. So I'm engaging that right calf muscle. And now I'm just going to sway my hips side to side as I keep that ball of the foot lifted, getting deep into that right calf muscle floss, helping to promote the lymph stimulation and drainage in that area. Let's take a couple more here. Working with your breath. And then releasing the left foot down. We'll ripple into that high plank pose. Drop to the knees, find your modified up dog or cow position, and then take it back. Child's pose. Take another breath here. Notice any shifts or changes. And then we'll return back up, taking that all on the other side. So we're going to come down onto the left side, preparing for that clam floss, taking the hand under the head, legs more of at a 90-degree position, keeping the ankles grounded here. We're going to take our right hand on top of the right thigh and resist as you push down. Inhale, release. Exhale, back down. Beautiful. Getting really active into that outer right leg and hip. Release and resist. Let's take 2 more good flosses here. So that engagement and elongation is the key to a fascia floss. And release. We'll take that easy twist. So just opening up through the body, taking a deep breath in and out. We'll return back mindfully. We're going to ground the hands like in a downward facing dog position, taking the legs back a little bit, lifting up into supported half plank. So resist as you draw your torso back towards the hips, and then you can find a nice hip dip and get a little twist. Resist as you push the hands away. Inhale, nice hip dip. Let's do that one more time. Resisting back. Inhale, hip dip. Nice. We'll take that into downward facing dog. We'll take that left leg forward this time, low lunge, as many steps as it takes. We'll find our blocks again for that pyramid floss. So we're going to straighten through the left leg, again, a little micro bend into the left knee. We're going to resist that leg as we bend into that back knee. We'll release and resist. Release and resist. And some people do like to add a little hop at the end there. Feel free to integrate that. Let's do 2 more. So good for the back of the left hamstring muscles. And we'll return back to low lunge. So bending into the left knee. We'll ground that right knee down. We'll bring both hands on the inside of the left foot. So I like to resist the left arm into the left inner thigh. And then as you resist, you're going to draw back and straighten through that left leg and rebend. Let's do 4 more here with your breath. Let this feel good in your body. Let's do 3 more. It's the thing with yoga teachers, right? We always tell you hold for a couple more breaths and we'll do 3 more. It ends up being a lot longer, right? Let's do 1 more. And then we'll reframe the front leg, coming back to downward facing dog. We're going to take that flamingo calf floss. So bringing the feet closer together, knees together. Bend into the right knee, so your little flamingo leg there. Up onto the ball of the left foot. And keep that engagement as you sway the hips side to side. So keep the left ball of the foot engaged, pushing into the mat, resisting, really getting deep into that left calf muscle. Nice. Let's take a couple more sways. And then we'll straighten the right leg and find our downward facing dog. We're going to rebound here a little bit. So you're just going to have a little bounce into your legs, into your balls of your feet, just letting that fluid just move, a little bit of bouncing. You can add any kind of movement with the head and neck. A couple more breaths, little rebound. And then we'll inhale, float into that plank pose, drop to the knees, open up, modified up dog. Release back, child's pose. So good. Take a couple of breaths here. Notice any shifts or changes. All right, we'll inhale, arise. We're going to make our way onto our backs And just make sure you have a block nearby. So we're going to do a bridge floss next. So coming on down, bending into the knees, you'll roll on down. Allow the arms to come down by the sides. So we're going to inhale, really lift up into your bridge pose as you lift the hips and pelvis, lift up through the spine, gaze straight at the ceiling. And then vertebra by vertebra, really resist as you push into the feet as you come on down. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale, lift up into your bridge pose, bottom of the sternum reaching up towards the chin. And then resisting, pushing through the feet, vertebra by vertebra, coming on down. So a little more active in this glute bridge. Inhale, lifting on up, squeezing the glutes here. Exhale, resisting, coming on down. And now I want you to lift up into that glute bridge and then just let yourself plop down. Nice. One more time. Inhale, lift up into that glute bridge and then plop on down. Let that feel good. We're going to come into an arm cross child's pose type of floss. I'm going to turn to where you can see me. We're going to lift our legs up and cross the arms onto the outsides of the knee area, just below the knee towards the thigh. And you're going to separate the knees, finding like a child's pose shape with the knees, and inhale, release. So resist as the arms are crossed. Inhale, release. You're going to get a beginning of an engagement here. Well, I feel it in my inner thighs as well, but in the chest and the pectoral muscles, just targeting that main ducts of our lymph flow up in that thoracic region, the collarbone area. Let's switch the cross of the arms now in the next few. So resist as you draw the knees away. Inhale, release. Exhale, resist. Inhale, release. Let's do one more here, really engaging that upper body part. And relax. We'll make our way into supported bridge next with our block. So grabbing your block, we'll lift up the hips and pelvis and bring that block, or if you have the book, underneath the sacrum, where the low back and the glutes meet. We're going to take both legs up towards the ceiling for waterfall pose. Your arms can be in any position that feels right for you. Just landing here for about a minute, getting a nice gentle inversion for the body. A nice way to drain the lymph nodes in the lower legs. You may feel a sense of tingling or just a waterfall sensation in the legs. Let's take 5 more deep, full breaths. Maybe focusing today on if you need energy to really lengthen out your inhalation breath. And maybe if you need a little more peace, calm, or relaxation, extending out the exhalation part of your breath. Three more breaths. One more full inhale and exhale. And slowly placing a bend into the knees, regrounding the feet to the earth. Pause there. And then gently lift up the hips and pelvis to release the block. We'll hug the knees into the chest, maybe you rock side to side, and then we'll make our way up into a seated position. We're going to begin our lymph flow now, just optimizing that stimulation and flow of our lymph fluid through the body. We'll take 3 different areas while we're seated, and then we'll move to standing. There are some contraindications to the lymph flow. So if you tend to have blood clotting issues, I would prefer that you do not do this practice. Check with your medical provider, of course, but refrain from this practice until you find out more. And also hyperthyroidism. So those 2 medical concerns definitely need a doctor's approval in regards to lymph flow. So be mindful of that. So we're going to take our fingertips up into the collarbone area above and below, and you're going to go ahead and just rub a little bit into there. We're going to rub, tap, slap, and do some rotations. So go ahead and find that nice rub into above and below the collarbones, and then you can tap into there. Take some circular rotations in one direction and then the other. And then our second area is the lymph area on the sides of the neck below the ears. So just finding some nice rubs in there, just stimulating that area, maybe around the ears as well. And then gently tapping, or you can slap if that feels good for you. And then those rotations, one direction and then the other. We're going to do the armpits next. So you're going to find that armpit area and just going to rub underneath the armpits. We'll do one side, and then we'll do the other. And then we'll rub onto the other side. And then adding in those taps or slaps. And then the circular rotations. We'll make our way to standing for the remainder areas. So we'll work into the abdominals. So one hand above the navel, one hand below, and just finding some nice rubbing action here. There's quite a few lymph nodes in this area, just stimulating those. And then you can slap here. Slapping feels really good, or tapping. And then circular rotations, one direction and then the other. We're going to take the inguinal area now. So it's the groin area, the inner thigh area. And you'll just rub in there any amount that you feel comfortable. And then take those slaps or taps. And then take those circular rotations. 3 in one direction, 3 in the other. So about 3 to 5 little slap, taps, rotations. Will do great. And our last area is behind the knees. So just go ahead and rub behind the knees. We have quite a few lymph nodes in here. And then you can slap, tap, and then take those circular rotations. And we'll do a little rebounding now. So just find a nice comfortable stance. You're just going to get a nice bounce into the body, just coming up onto the balls of the feet and letting the heels drop. And you can make this a little intense. You can shake your whole body out, anything that feels good. So at least a minute here in your rebounding. You can actually buy a rebounder, have in your home. Shake it all out, anything that feels good. You can even kind of dance around, anything that just brings a lot of movement to the body here to help stimulate what we've done to release that lymph fluid. A couple more breaths. And then coming to stillness, I just encourage you to bring your hands on your heart. Maybe close your eyes if that feels all right for you. And just notice how you feel. Maybe setting an intention for the rest of your day. Inviting in some additional movement, like a nice walk outside or a swim, would be a great complement to this practice. If the eyes are closed, we'll softly open them. You can bring your hands to heart center, bowing the head into the heart. It's always a true honor and a pleasure to guide you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. You can stay connected with me on my website, loveserveinspire.com.